In a distant future, where humanity has transcended flesh, Syntia and Nexor have lived through centuries together, until everything falls apart. Hello and welcome! Lynx here, and we are playing QUINCENTRA by Azure Twilight. Correct. A developer that we already played something from. Like Intensive Scare Unit, which was absolutely amazing. Let's see what QUINCENTRA is all about. That song, really good sounding, by the way. Oh boy. The rain fell hard, painting the empty streets with reflections of flickering neon signs. Syntia knelt beside Nexor, her fingers intertwining with the cold, broken remains of his mechanical hand. His titanium plating was wrecked, revealing severed optical cables underneath. Sparks flickered weakly between the torn wiring, fading in and out, like a dying pulse.
Syntia, I can't feel my left arm anymore.
His voice trembled, distortion breaking through in the uneven waves. The signals in Nexor's core flickered, his system unraveling one piece at a time. I knew! Her voice was steady, but her emotional system flagged an error, instability detected.
Guess I don't have to keep pretending then.
He tried to laugh, but it came out wrong, hollow. Uneven, something between a breath and a glitch. The rain dripped from her synthetic cheek, tracing a slow path downward. It almost looked like tears? No, it wasn't the same.
This isn't how it was supposed to end.
Nexor inhaled an old reflex, an unnecessary motion, but he still did it. Maybe it was comforting. Maybe it was just a habit.
Nothing ever went the way it's supposed to.
Above them, a holographic billboard flickered, its message crawling across the screen unchanged, unyielding, a promise they had once believed in. I'm not sure what it says. Live forever? Love forever? Live forever, alright. Upload your consciousness, transcend humanity, live forever with QUINCENTRA. Honestly, doesn't sound like a good idea. I'm absolutely not... I would not be tempted by that. There was a time when those words had meant hope. Did they? I'll be honest, man, living forever sounds like a torture.
Forever is a long time.
Back then we thought it was real.
Maybe still is. For you.
Syntia tightened her grip around his hand. Damn, that arm I mean, yeah, no surprise that you say your left arm is gone. I would say your capability to use the left leg is also gone. Also the fact that he's sparkling and there is rain, I mean that can be good. Syntia tightened her grip around his hand. The cold metal was losing its charge, slipping further from her grasp.
You're still saying things like that?
Nexor's lips barely curled into a smile. His optics were dimming, colors bleeding to static.
Because, Syntia, sometimes all we need is a beautiful lie.
He tried to squeeze her fingers back, but his movements were barely there. Ghosts of what they used to be.
Nexor! Syntia! Can I take a look of your face?
It should be at your whatever.
One last time.
She lifted her gaze, slow and unblinking, as if memorizing every last detail. Nexor tried to move his remaining arm, but the joints locked, straining against failing circuits. Syntia caught it before it fell, her grip firm yet trembling. His frame felt lighter than it should have.
We really thought forever would last, didn't we?
His voice flickered. The soft glow on his body pulsed, unevenly fading, slipping.
Like fools we believed in forever.
Syntia pressed her lips together, an old reflex. As well. Useless now, but still there.
We made it 501 years.
Damn! And that company is still around? That's nuts. You know, in a way, the company that kind of gave them the bodies, and anyway. I think it was obvious what I meant.
That's longer than most.
Silence stretched between them. Only the rain spoke now. Syntia shut her optics, letting the wave of centuries press against her memory core. It had always been so easy before. A broken limb? Replace it! Alright, yeah. That is definitely an advantage of you know, switching the actual human body into the robotic one. A corrupted file? Retrieve the backup! That doesn't sound good for overall, right? I mean, if you think about it, nobody said that someone outside cannot overwrite your stuff. Things could be fixed, restored, made whole again. But not anymore. Now, his core was failing, too far gone. So I'm guessing by core you basically mean something that is supposed to be like a heart to a human, right? Emotion couldn't be rewritten. Love wasn't something that could be transferred like data. She could recover his memories, but it wouldn't bring him back. All that would remain was an echo. A shell. A name without a soul.
If I pack you up now,
her voice was shaking, barely more than a whisper.
you won't be you anymore.
Nexor studied her, softening his gaze.
And if I'm not me, would you still love me?
Cynthia's grip tightened. But she had no answer. The memory pulled her under, like a tide she had stopped resisting long ago. She closed her optics, and in the darkness of her mind, a hospital room took shape. Cold, still, far, far too quiet to be real. The walls were white, but to them, everything had turned grey. Oh no, no, you've got... Oh crap. Syntia sat at the edge of the hospital bed, arms wrapped around a small, unmoving figure. Still, motionless. Nexor stood beside her, fingers trembling. He reached out instinctively, then hesitated, unsure what to do with his hands. Yeah, in a situation like this. I mean, I can only try imagine, but it would be like... What the heck do I do even? Nexor's hands were those of an engineer, hands meant to build, to fix. Hands that had never failed him before. But this wasn't something he could fix.
She stopped breathing.
Their daughter couldn't be repaired.
The doctor said she was never breathing to begin with.
Cynthia's voice barely carried through the room, as if speaking too loudly might shatter what little remained of her world. She cuddled the tiny body closer, willing warmth into the skin that would never hold it. Hoping somewhere deep inside that if she held on tightly enough, something might change. But the body in her arms remained cold. The machines had been turned off. No more alarms. No more beeping monitors. Only silence.
There had to be something could have done.
Not really. Nexor had searched every possibility. CPR, neural simulation, defibrillators. But their daughter wasn't a machine that could be restarted. She wasn't a corrupted file that could be restored from a backup. She was just a human.
We know how to fix things.
Whoa.
We know how to fix things, love.
She clutched the child closer. But some things were never meant to be fixed.
But not life. Not the soul. Then what was the point of all of it?
His voice raised, crackling against a wave in his chest. And then he realized. He had almost shouted at her. At Cynthia, who had lost just as much, maybe even more. Nexor exhaled sharply, pressing his lips together as he turned away. Cynthia said nothing. She only held her daughter a little tighter, trying to memorize the shape of her tiny face. As if that could keep her from fading. But they both knew. This body was a cage. Flesh was fragile. No matter how desperately they wanted to, they couldn't bring her back. But they could keep moving. They could run from this grief, from this unbearable truth. Their gaze met, then drifted towards the window. Outside, through the curtain of rain, one of the thousands of billboards flickered. You look at that, it's the same billboard. Damn. And that thing also stood there for over 500 years? Upload your consciousness. Transcend humanity. Live forever with QUINCENTRA. They had seen the words before, countless times. But tonight they meant something different.
I can't lose you too. We don't have to lose each other.
I know, man. Would I think, after, basically losing my own child, to try to live forever? I don't think so, man. I would think if anything, after such an experience, your mind would be drifting the other way around. But what do I know? I just kind of speculate over here. The words left her lips before she could think. The idea has been there, lingering unspoken ever since QUINCENTRA became a possibility. She knew this was the worst moment to bring it up. But
let's keep living. For her.
They weren't gods. They couldn't bring back the dead. Their daughter was gone. But one thing was still within their grasp. They could choose to survive. To keep existing in a world beyond this one. A world where nothing could break, where nothing would ever be lost again. A world where they could stay, even though they're no longer human.
Alright.
He nodded with a slow, uncertain movement. His fingers brushed against his cheek, wiping away his tears. The last tears he would ever shed. The rain blurred another projection in Cynthia's RAM Alpha memory? Oh, never mind. Whatever. The rain blurred another projection in Cynthia's RAM. I think it says actually an A, no, but looks like an alpha. Whatever. A memory caught in an endless loop, like an old recording worn thin over time. Centuries ago, neon lights had swallowed the sky. Oh, that sucks. Outshining the stars that had long since faded.
How about we leave a mark? Something to say we're here. Isn't that just vandalism? Who's left to care?
What? What do you mean by that? Syntia, Nexor, heart. Really? That kind of star in... Wow. He carved their initials into the cold metal railing, letters that, by now, were probably buried beneath the rust. Never know that. What if they aren't? Back then, they were still learning how to move around in their new bodies. Their movements were awkward, unpracticed, but they danced anyway. Well, would you look at that? Sounds like me trying to dance. Awkward and terrible.
Damn, I'm terrible at this. You'll get better, we have all the time in the world. Then, my lady, may I have this dance? Always.
Another memory surfaced in Cynthia's RAM. Lorem ipsum, of course, 80 degrees. A quiet garage, long abandoned. She tried to remember the smell of burned circuits, but she'd lost her sense of smell long ago. She remembered their hands, steady and precise, fixing each other like clockwork.
Ouch!
So he was falling apart already. I assume this is still a memory. So that company must have fallen apart as well. Could it be that that the two really are like their last two surviving?
Hold still, your knee's a mess. Look who's talking, you're worse off. Yeah, but at least I make it look good.
Yeah. Cynthia's fingers traced the cracks on his polymer plating. He had still been human. They would have been scars, wounds that should have healed but never did.
You scare me sometimes. Because I don't care if my body breaks. Because I do.
Their world, once overflowing with life, had started to fade. The sky that had once been blue was now consumed by the darkness. Oxygen, once abundant, had run dry. Oh. You know what? I can see that happening. Especially with the fact with how we... I say we, but... it's basically the people who decide stuff. Let's say the government, basically. City councils and so on. How they basically make everything concrete. Sure, obviously, a house made of concrete, that makes sense. But... you know, like... a normal park where you would like to sit down on a bench or whatever. Why is it not greenery, but again, concrete, just that. Yeah, I can actually see at some point Earth basically running dry when it comes to oxygen. I would not be surprised if that happens. Humanity disappeared one by one. Ooh, replaced by android bodies. Some couldn't bear eternity, others lost themselves within it. Yeah, no surprise here. Nexor and Syntia stood together, hand in hand, watching as the world faded into history. Look at me, by the way, in 500 years, still recording videos. And after that, only one of them remained. Ooh. The memories in Synthia's mind flickered, then faded. The projections that had played for centuries froze mid-loop, replaced by something that crushed her chest like a collapsing star. Nexor's face.
I think we're running out of the...
Syntia collapsed to her knees, clutching Nexor's hand like it was her last tether to existence.
No! Not yet, damn it, not yet!
His optical sensors flickered, fighting to stay alight, as if even his body was resisting this end. He tried to draw power from his backup battery. Nothing. There was nothing left.
Syntia!
His fingers trembled in hers, barely holding on before his motor functions failed.
There is... nothing left to fix.
No. No. Syntia shook her head violently as if her sheer willpower could override no reality. This wasn't happening. He wasn't beyond repair. He couldn't be. Could he? Her processor was built to calculate probabilities, to create solutions, but none of this made sense!
But it's still a way. There has to be...
She couldn't lose him. Not after everything. Syntia forced her systems to run at max capacity, processing every solution, every desperate chance. What if she transferred his consciousness? No. Too much data was already lost. What if she copied his memories? But his motions wouldn't transfer. What if she rebuilt his neural core? That wouldn't be him. What if she patched his system manually? No. The damage was too widespread.
No! If you rebuild me, it won't be me.
Desperation clawed at her, ripping through every fiber of her being. Was this what it felt like? To lose something irreplaceable. To know after 500 years that love could still be taken from her. His fingers barely twitched. One last movement, weak and fleeting before going still.
I don't care. Let me go. Where?
His voice fractured, breaking apart as fragments slipping through her grasp.
No.
She could replace him. She could copy his memories, replicate his thought patterns, rebuild his speech, but it wouldn't be him. Not the man who carved their initials into a rusting railing. Not the man who danced with her in the rain, laughing as they stumbled over their own feet. Not the man who had held her through endless centuries. Through wars, of course, humanity. Through a love that defied time itself. You'd, of course, humans, be it in human bodies or android bodies, would still make wars. Jesus.
Our daughter is
Not the man who had grieved beside her for a child they could never save. She wanted to scream. She wanted to break down the universe and build it back together in a way that kept him here. But she couldn't. This was of the end. This time it was real.
Love, please. Don't.
The last flicker of light in Nexor's optic sensors slowly dimmed.
Now.
His trembling fingers barely lifted, trying to touch his chest right where his heart should have been once.
Live. For.
His words cut off. A burst of static erupted from his voice module. His body jerked one last time. Then it stilled. Huh. So that's how the back of the body looks like. His fingers twitched just slightly. And then... nothing. No static. No movement. No more Nexor. Only silence.
I don't. I know how to live in a world without you.
The rain kept falling, but it felt distant, like a sound trapped behind glass. I was about to say glasses. But somehow managed to not to. Her processor was still running. Still searching for solutions, for alternate paths, for something, anything. But none of it mattered anymore. For the first time in 500 years, Syntia had no answer.
No. This isn't real.
The rain pounded against metal. Against the silence. Against the emptiness, hollowing her out, sinking deeper and deeper into the spaces where something human used to be. Syntia tried to swallow, but there was no throat to tighten, no lungs to shudder under grief. She could not feel the cold, she could not feel the rain. She could not tremble. And yet, the pain was unbearable. It should not exist. But it did. Something inside her was breaking, splintering, shattering into pieces she could never put back together.
I can fix you.
She has to. She has to. She had done it before. She had repaired him before. What? Once Nexor's leg had been destroyed. Yeah, but it was just a leg. He had laughed when she reattached it the wrong way. He had told her that was why he loved her. Because she never gave up. But this was different. This was just broken. This was gone. Syntia clutched her chest, pressing her forehead against his. Cold metal against cold metal. It was all she could feel. She wished she could still shiver. I mean, she kinda does. Wished her body could still age. Could still hurt the way it was supposed to. But there was nothing left to register the pain. Nothing except the unbearable weight in her core.
Nexor, what do I do?
Silence. Only the rain. Only the mechanical hum of her own systems, still running, still processing when nothing should be left. Only her own voice breaking apart in the void.
Live for you? For our child?
Yes, she could. She could keep them alive inside her mind. She could hold on to every word, every laugh, every touch. Replay them over and over, again and again, like a corrupted file stuck in an infinite loop.
But how do I even do this alone?
Her stomach twisted. But there was something inside her to wrench and coil in agony. This pain was something worse. This pain was without a body to bear it. This was grief without release. What was the point of surviving if there was no one left? What was the point of moving forward when there was nothing to walk toward? The rain kept falling, a dull, numbing hum swallowing her thoughts. And then a thought. A simple solution. Quick! She could end the pain. Syntia looked down her chest, where all her memories were stored. Where he was still alive. Every conversation, every laugh, every touch, every night they spent side by side, whispering about the future they thought would never end. Her fingers moved slowly to a small panel on her chest. Just one command.
System shut down. The final directive. A few seconds. That was all it would take.
No more loss. No more grief. No more waking up alone. Her fingers hovered closer. But before she could press the button, a voice, echoing from the last place he still existed.
Now, live for us.
His final request. Not an order. Not a plea. Just one last wish from the man she loved. A man who wanted her to stay. A man who didn't have a choice but gave her the chance to make one. She looked at her own hands. Fingers that had touched life. That had repaired, created, protected. But had almost pressed that button. But didn't. But
how do I face this world alone?
She could not weep. She could not scream. She could not fall to the ground gasping for breath. She could only exist. And maybe it was the worst pain of all. Yeah. Fine. Wait, I did not expect a time limit. Keep living. Rebuild Nexor? I mean... But it wouldn't be him who explained it, so... The rain kept falling, the world kept turning. But Syntia didn't. If she left now, who would remember the times she danced with Nexor, pretending they were human? Who would remember the daughter they never got to hold long enough? Who would keep them alive, keep them from being erased from someone's memories? If she gave up, then they would truly disappear. Not just from this world, but from everything. Not a single soul would remember they ever existed. Syntia felt something. A deep twisting cold spreading through her circuits. It shouldn't be possible. Her sensors had long since degraded. But it was there. Or maybe it had been there all along. Because she was still here. Still aware. Still feeling. And she would not betray Nexor's final wish. She would not let him disappear. She searched for his hand one last time, metal against metal. Gripping tight. Before she let go. Then with agonizing no less, she stood. Her body felt wrong. Heavy. As if something unseen had reached to her chest and pulled out everything that had ever mattered. As if she was hollow. I mean, after that, I imagine she would be feeling like that. Something inside her screamed not to move. To stay. To keep holding on. As if staying would bring him back. But it wouldn't. This was not a dream. There was no resetting this moment. There was no fixing it. This was real. Syntia looked at Nexor's body one last time. The man who had walked beside her for 501 years. The man who once laughed, who once promised he would never leave. The man who had left anyway. She wanted to say something. A final goodbye, maybe. A promise that she would keep going. But words didn't matter anymore. He would never hear them. So Syntia turned away. The first step felt like betrayal. The second step felt like the chains wrapping around her, trying to drag her back. The third felt like losing him all over again. But she kept walking. She did not look back. She could not look back. Because if she did, she wasn't sure she would have the strength to keep going. Syntia was still alive. Somehow. The world still spun, even though everything inside her felt like it had stopped. There was still time. An eternity of it.
501 years. And counting.
Her voice didn't break. But something inside her did. Maybe one day the world would not feel this cold. Maybe one day this endless existence would mean something again. Maybe one day she would learn how to move forward without feeling like she was leaving him behind. But not today. Not tomorrow. Not for a long time. Still, Syntia kept walking. Time passed. The rain kept falling as it always had. Syntia walked the same streets, but her steps no longer dragged. Beside her, a small android dog trotted with a carefree energy. Oh. She stopped. The place was the same, but the moment was different. There, where Nexor had once been, stood a single metal flower. Alone. Untouched by time. Enduring. Syntia knelt, brushing her fingertips over its cool surface. It felt like touching something that had once been alive. Something that still lived inside of her.
502 years. I'm still here.
Her voice didn't waver. The sorrow was still there, and the age never fully gone. But something else had taken root alongside it. Not just loss, not just emptiness, but gratitude. Syntia reached into the depths of her memory, replaying every step that had led her here. The nights she spent whispering to Nexor in the silence, hoping just for a second that maybe he would whisper back. The days where the world stretched endlessly. Before her, too vast and too empty without the hand that had once held hers. But there were other moments too. Moments that had slowly, quietly begun to fill the hollow spaces in her heart. Neon-lit skies that shimmered in artificial constellations. Strangers who crossed her path, sharing fleeting stories and laughter, and even if just for a moment. Journeys that led her to places she had never seen before. And the small quiet things. Things she once thought meaningless. But now realized were priceless simply because she was still here to experience them. She was still here. And that was Nexor's final gift. The rain continued to fall as it always had, but this time it felt different. Not something cold, Not something heavy, but something cleansing. Something that made the world feel alive. Syntia closed her optics for a moment, then let out a slow breath. One that carried no hesitation and no doubt. And when she opened them again, she smiled.
Thank you, my love, for everything.
She no longer expected an answer. But deep down she knew if Nexor were here, he would be smiling too. Her android dog, Rex, wagged his tail excitedly before leaping into a puddle, water splashing against his synthetic fur. Syntia laughed. A soft, genuine sound, one she hadn't heard from herself in so long. How long had it been since she had laughed like this? She tried to remember. And for the first time in centuries, the thought of counting no longer mattered. She could still laugh. She could still smile. She could still live. Not because Nexor had asked her to, not because of a promise made long ago, but because she chose to. Because even though the pain would never fully fade, even though the past would always linger in the quiet corners of her mind, the life ahead was beautiful, and she wanted to embrace it again. Syntia turned to face the road ahead. For the first time it didn't feel so empty. She didn't know what awaited her. Didn't know how many more years stretched before her. But for the first time in 502 years, she wanted to find out. The first step felt lighter. The second step felt steady, and she did not look back. Not because she had forgotten, but because she was finally ready to move forward. And for the first time in 502 years, Syntia was looking ahead, wondering where her next steps would take her. QUINCENTRA. You know what this reminds me, in a way? Just in a bit of a way. Of an absolute banger of a story that was Cyberpunk Edge Runners. But I will not cry now, okay? I will not. I did shed a tear while watching Cyberpunk Edge Runners, oh, that's for sure. I guess, well, with one choice being in the game, because it seems like there is one. That must mean there is one more ending, right? You know what, if you want to know it, you'll have to do it yourself. Yeah. Link to the game is not, Link to the game is in the description. Go download it yourself as well. And have a look what would happen if you decide to rebuild Nexor. I'm not sure. I mean, to me it seemed like they didn't basically want to do that, because apparently he would not be himself if that was being done, so I followed that path. And I think that's the kind of correct approach. And again, maybe if, you know, she was allowed to, if she allowed herself to rebuild him, maybe she would still go on about the life in a way without issue, sort of. Don't know. If you want to find out, again, link to the game description. Go play it yourself, make a different choice, and you'll find out everything. I will also find out on my own. But there will be no video about that. Yeah. Basically, I believe that the ending we've got is like probably the best option to get. Again, because, you know, in a way, it's brought back the thoughts of cyberpunk edge runners in my mind. Yeah. I should rewatch it now. But lovely game overall. And well, I guess humanity in real life maybe eventually will go that way as well, to basically inhabit the android bodies and so on. I don't think it's gonna be in my lifetime, for we might be somewhat advancing and so on, but I don't think it's gonna happen now. We are not there yet. We are not there yet. Again, for like, even if I had the possibility, I don't think I would want to be in an android body. Yeah. I say it now, but you know, in the future, if there is actually an option, who knows, maybe I would change my mind. At this moment of time, for like, not interested. And those two survived like that for over a little bit over 500 years. Nah. Crazy. It's absolutely crazy. In a way, it's also crazy because, like, we are living in such a messed up time that, you know, like 100 years. Let's say that you have lived 100 years. I guess it's possible now. But 100 years seems like a torture. But maybe let's not get into it. Let's not get into it now. That might be too deep of a topic to touch on. But then again, if you retire at 65, if you live to 500, your pension would be amazing. I'm curious. Oh. Interesting. So apparently in Poland at least, which by the way is crazy, like that it works like that. When you reach 100 years, you earn a pension of over 6,000. But dude, if you think about it, when you're 100 years old, right? What are you gonna use it on? Like, come on. Give us that money earlier. Ridiculous behavior. Government sucks. Anyway, I think it's also a good moment to end it. But dude, if you are reaching like 500 years, that pension is even higher for sure. So I guess getting into an android body for the sake of getting a great pension, that would be a thing. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, I'm still not convinced. More likely to sell my soul to a devil. Or, I don't know, to a vampire or something. Alright, let's end it. Tomorrow, another game. Tomorrow, another game. We are going to be blasting, maybe not blasting through, but we are going to be playing some more each games. Until maybe I finally clean up my backlog of that. And with that being said, for now, hope you enjoyed the video. As per usual, consider liking it if you did. Always appreciate it. What's even more appreciated is, of course, if you subscribe, if you haven't yet. Like, super, very much appreciated, obviously. Would love to have you around. And, well, there will be more games. There will be more games. Games never end. They are still being created, luckily enough. And there are still games from the past that need to be played. Yeah! Alright, that's really all I wanted to say. You cannot, to be fair, you can also tell me if you would choose an android body to live like for 500 years or more, right? Maybe you have a, like, basically different view on that. Curious. So you tell me that, and maybe, you know, maybe I'll find you in the comment section if you do. For the video, that's it. I wish you a wonderful day, and I'm getting out of here. Bye bye.